The crystal spires of Archidon Prime shattered like glass as the midnight black vessels of the Voidborn descended from swirling dimensional tiers in the sky. Ambassador Kiravosh watched from the upper balcony of the Celestial Harmony Tower as his civilization crumbled. 3 centuries of Galactic Federation peace, gone in mere days. Ambassador, please, the evacuation vessels cannot wait any longer. His aide, Zelmira, pulled at his ceremonial robes, her scaled skin pale with fear. Kiravosh couldn't tear his eyes from the destruction. The quantum defense grid, technology so advanced that humans couldn't even comprehend its principles, flickered and died as tendrils of void matter reached from the invading ships. "This is impossible," he whispered. "We have the most sophisticated defensive systems in the quadrant." The screams of civilians filled the streets below as the proud Arcadian peacekeepers attempted to organize an evacuation. A voidborn harvester, like a massive spider woven from darkness, skittered between buildings, absorbing energy from everything it touched. "The Council must be warned," Kiravosh said finally, allowing himself to be led toward the diplomatic shuttles. Across 16 star systems, similar scenes unfolded with terrifying speed. Elder races with technology millennia beyond Earth's capabilities fell one after another. The Meridians, with their crystal cities floating among the clouds of Meridia Prime. The Quarians, whose vast orbital habitats house billions. Even the Solarians, oldest of all Federation species, found their legendary energy shields useless against the dimensional invaders. On the Federation Council Station, a massive ring-shaped construct orbiting a neutral star, emergency sessions stretched into days as reports of devastation poured in from all corners of civilized space. "The Praxi homeworld has gone silent," announced the haggard communications officer. "That makes the 8th major system in 17 days. Admiral Zelkareth, Supreme Commander of Federation Forces, stood before the assembled representatives, his scaled skin ashen with despair. The holographic display behind him showed real-time footage of the Arcadian capital being consumed by crawling darkness. "Our weapons," his voice cracked. "Our weapons strengthen them. Each energy discharge from our quantum cannon seems to feed their shield systems. We cannot." The proud admiral collapsed into his seat, unable to continue. The chamber fell silent. Species that had known only peace for countless generations now faced extinction. Their elegant energy weapons and sophisticated defenses, technologies they had perfected over millennia of peaceful development, proved worse than useless against an enemy that consumed energy itself. Ambassador Shirtal of the Solaran High Council rose slowly from her seat, her luminescent wings dimmed with resignation. At 12,000 years old, she was among the oldest living beings in the Federation, yet she had never known true war. "There is," she began, her melodic voice carrying the weight of profound cultural shame, "one option we have not considered." The council chamber stirred. What possible option remained after their most advanced weapons have failed? "The humans of Earth," Shirtal continued, not meeting the eyes of her fellow council members. "The warriors we rejected for being too primitive." Murmurs of disbelief rippled through the chamber. Earth had applied for Federation membership barely 30 years earlier and had been unanimously denied. Their civilization still fought among themselves. They relied on crude projectile weapons and nuclear armaments. Their diplomacy was as unrefined as their technology. The humans, Admiral Van Fall of the Meridian Defense Force, rose in objection. They would be slaughtered instantly. Their ships can barely achieve reliable faster-than-light travel. Shirtal's wings flashed with unexpected intensity. And yet their weapons do not rely on the energy mechanics that the Voidborn exploit. They use physical projectiles, chemical explosives, nuclear reactions. Her voice dropped to a whisper. All things we abandoned as barbaric millennia ago. On the main display, footage from Archidon Prime showed the final defense line collapsing. The Voidborn harvesters moved methodically through the capital, leaving nothing but emptiness behind. "We have no choice," Shirtal said firmly. "Contact Earth immediately. Tell them Tell them we were wrong about them. Tell them we need their warriors now." As the emergency transmission was prepared, Admiral Zelkaraf stared at the tactical display showing the Voidborn advance. "The humans," he said quietly. "May the cosmic harmony forgive us for what we are about to unleash upon the galaxy." Captain Miranda Hayes squinted at the alien vessel descending toward the lunar diplomatic base, her hand never straying far from her sidearm. The Federation ambassadorial ship, all gleaming curves and pulsing lights, looked absurdly delicate against the stark lunar landscape. "Funny how quickly they found our coordinates after ignoring us for decades," she muttered to her second-in-command, Lieutenant Kama. "Pride has a short memory when survival is on the line," Kama replied, her dark eyes tracking the vessel's approach. Across the observation deck, Admiral Chen Wei studied data streams on his neural interface, his weathered face revealing nothing. The lunar base, originally built for scientific research, had been hastily repurposed for this unexpected first contact. Representatives from 6 Earth nations paced nervously around the chamber, a testament to how seriously humanity took this surprise communication. Hayes checked her uniform one last time. After 20 years in the United Earth Defense Force, she never expected to be humanity's face in a first contact scenario. Her specialization was combat tactics, not diplomacy. "Remember," Admiral Chen said quietly as the airlock cycled, "they need something from us. That puts us in the position of strength, despite their technological advantages." When Ambassador Shirtal stepped from her vessel, the silk-like membranes of her wings caught the harsh spotlight, creating rainbow patterns that danced across the landing bay. Her entourage, scaled Arcadians and crystalline Meridians, regarded the humans with expressions ranging from curiosity to barely concealed disdain. The typical Solaran superiority Hayes had expected was nowhere to be seen. Instead, Shirtal's luminescent features were drawn with exhaustion. "The advanced races of the galaxy need your help," she stated without preamble, her translator struggling to convey the desperation in her harmonics. Hayes exchanged glances with Admiral Chen. No greeting. No diplomatic pleasantries. Whatever situation the Federation faced must be dire indeed. In the underground war room, tactical displays illuminated the faces of Earth's military leadership as Shirtal explained the Voidborn invasion. 3-dimensional projections showed the devastating advance across star systems once thought impregnable. The pride of Federation military technology, energy weapons capable of reshaping planets, reduced to uselessness. Our scientists believe the Voidborn evolved in a dimension where energy exists in a fundamentally different state, Shirtal explained, manipulating the holographic display with delicate gestures. Each energy discharge from our weapons is absorbed and converted, making them stronger. The cruel irony dawned on Hayes before Admiral Chen voiced it. And our ballistic weapons, our explosive devices, our nuclear capabilities, technologies we considered barbaric, Shirtal admitted, her wings flickering with what Hayes recognized as shame. They may be the galaxy's last hope. Hayes caught the slight smile on Admiral Chen's face. 20 years ago, he had represented Earth at the Federation membership hearing, returning home humiliated by their rejection. 20 years ago, you called us dangerous primitives, he said, rising to his full height. Today, you call us your saviors. The price of our help just went up. Shirtal lowered her head in acknowledgement. The Federation is prepared to offer Earth immediate membership with full technological exchange privileges and military autonomy, Hayes added firmly. Earth forces remain under Earth command. The meeting stretched for hours as terms were negotiated. In a private moment, Hayes found Shirtal staring at a display showing Earth's military strength, a fraction of what the Federation had once fielded. "Do you truly think your species can succeed where ours failed?" the ancient being asked quietly. Hayes studied the alien face, searching for condescension, but finding only genuine uncertainty. "Humanity has one advantage you evolved past long ago," she replied. "We've spent our entire history fighting each other, our environment, our limitations. Fighting is what we do best. A primitive trait, Chertal observed. Perhaps, Hayes acknowledged with a thin smile. But sometimes, Ambassador, primitive is exactly what you need. The Earth battle cruiser Indomitable emerged from jump space near Proxima Station, trailing its sister ships Defiance and Sovereign through the starlit void. Captain Hayes observed the Federation's last functional military outpost through the bridge viewport, a massive structure like a metallic starfish, its 5 arms glittering with emergency lights. Detecting multiple vessels in defensive formation around the station, Lieutenant Kamau reported from her tactical station. Federation signatures, and something else. Energy patterns consistent with the Voidborn scout ships in the briefing data. Hayes straightened her uniform jacket. Broadcast identification on all Federation frequencies. Let's not get shot by the people we came to help. The response came immediately. A holographic projection of Admiral Ven Fall of the Meridian Defense Force materializing on the command deck. His 7 pupilled eyes blinked rapidly as he surveyed the human bridge crew. Earth vessels, you are cleared to approach docking arm 3, he said, his translator rendering his harmonics into clipped English. We appreciate your assistance. The Admiral's tone suggested otherwise. As the human vessels maneuvered toward the station, Hayes caught the whispered exchange between Ventfall and his crystalline adjutant. These are warships. They look like industrial haulers, the Admiral muttered, unaware that Kamau's enhanced hearing implants caught every word. Primitive design aesthetics, the adjutant agreed. No energy shielding. Minimal AI integration. It's remarkable they achieved FTL travel at all. Hayes exchanged a glance with Kamau, who tapped her ear discreetly. The lieutenant's expression remained professional, but Hayes recognized the determined set of her jaw. The Federation's condescension would only fuel the crew's resolve to prove themselves. 3 hours after docking, the human officers assembled in Proxima Station's command center, a cavernous chamber dominated by holographic displays showing Voidborn movements across 12 star systems. Federation commanders from 6 species huddled around tactical projections, their elegant uniforms contrasting with the utilitarian Earth Defense Force gear. We've implemented your ballistic weapons specifications, Venfall informed Hayes, gesturing to a technical display. Though our engineers remain skeptical about their effectiveness compared to our energy-based, a proximity alarm cut him off. Displays flickered as the station's sensors detected a dimensional disturbance forming less than 10,000 kilometers away. Voidborn scout ship emerging from micro-rift, a Quarian sensor officer announced, compound eyes widening. Attack pattern consistent with reconnaissance initiative. Federation officers moved with practiced precision, their movements elegant but slow to Hayes' combat-trained eye. Energy weapons began powering up, exactly the wrong response. Hold your fire, she commanded, her voice cutting through the ordered chaos. You'll only make it stronger. Before the Federation vessels could launch their attack, Hayes nodded to Lieutenant Kamau, who transmitted a single command to the Indomitable. The Earth cruiser's twin railguns swiveled into position and accelerated 20-kilogram tungsten rods to Mach 15. The projectiles tore through space, crossing the distance to the Voidborn vessel in seconds. No energy shields activated to stop them. The Voidborn had evolved to absorb energy weapons, not physical impacts. The tungsten rods punctured the alien vessel's hull, sending it spinning into the void, leaking a strange luminescence that resembled nothing so much as blood. Silence fell over the command center. Federation officers stared at the tactical display in stunned disbelief as the Voidborn scout's energy signature flickered and died. Target neutralized, Kamau reported calmly, fingers dancing across her holographic interface. Our sensors are gathering debris data for analysis. The silence stretched until Venfall approached Hayes, his crystalline features impossible to read. Captain, he said quietly, perhaps we should discuss your tactical insights more thoroughly. Hayes nodded once. Lieutenant Kamau has identified several patterns in Voidborn movements your systems seem to have missed. When their rifts are threatened, they follow predictable response vectors. All pretense of Federation superiority vanished as officers crowded around Kamau Station. The human tactical officer highlighted attack patterns across multiple engagements, demonstrating correlations the Federation's sophisticated AIs had overlooked. Not because they lacked processing power, but because they had been programmed to look for complex solutions to complex problems. "Your systems are overthinking this," Kamau explained. "The Voidborn may be interdimensional entities, but they still follow basic tactical doctrines: attack, defend, regroup, just like any other predator. Your warriors make independent decisions during battle." The Quarian commander's compound eyes dilated with genuine confusion as he observed Earth soldiers in a training exercise. Without central direction, how do you prevent chaos? Captain Hayes watched as her Marines executed a complex flanking maneuver, adapting in real time to changing conditions in the simulation. 3 weeks had passed since human forces began integrating with Federation defenses, and cultural clashes had become daily occurrences. "We don't prevent chaos," Hayes explained patiently. "We harness it. Battlefield conditions change too quickly for centralized control to be effective." The Quarian chittered softly, a sound Hayes had learned indicated deep discomfort. His species had evolved from hive-mind insects, their entire civilization built around perfect coordination and unified purpose. "Fascinating, but deeply unsettling," he admitted. Hayes navigated through the crowded mess hall, where human Marines arm-wrestled with tentacled proxy warriors while trading combat stories. The integration wasn't going poorly. Soldiers often found common ground regardless of species, but not all interactions were as friendly. A squad of Meridian empaths sat isolated in a corner, their sensitive neural structures visibly overwhelmed by the humans' comfort with violent thoughts and imagery. One of them, a delicate humanoid with translucent skin, looked up as Hayes approached. "Your species dreams of conflict," she whispered accusingly. "We dream of harmony." Hayes chose her words carefully. Different evolutionary paths lead to different mindsets. Earth wasn't as forgiving as Meridia. Yet with each skirmish against the Voidborn, these perceived human flaws proved increasingly valuable. During the defense of Outpost Sigma 9, a human sergeant ignored Central Command's retreat order and led his squad through a maintenance tunnel, emerging behind Voidborn forces to devastating effect. The Federation tactical AI had calculated a 97% casualty rate for any such maneuver, a risk threshold no Federation commander would authorize. But the human sergeant, trusting his instincts and experience, had achieved victory with 0 casualties. "Your people fight like my ancestors did, before the Great Rationalization." The voice startled Hayes from her thoughts. A tall Arcadian warrior stood before her, his scaled face bearing ritual scars that curved from eye ridges to jaw. Commander Kalar's military career had been derailed for similar unconventional thinking years ago, the disgrace among his hyperrational species. "Before we engineered unpredictability out of our genetic code," he continued, extending a 3-fingered hand in greeting. "Together, we might actually win this war." While Hayes and Kalar began developing hybrid tactics that merged Arcadian precision with human unpredictability, Dr. Eliza Wong was making a discovery in her xenobiology lab that would change the nature of the conflict. The human scientist had been examining tissue samples from fallen Voidborn, her approach distinctly different from Federation researchers. Where they sought elegant unified theories, Wong focused on practical results, trying dozens of experimental approaches simultaneously. "Captain Hayes, I need you in Lab 7 immediately." Wong's voice crackled over the communication system. "I found something disturbing." Hayes arrived to find Wong surrounded by Federation scientists, all staring at high-resolution holographic projections of cellular structures. "These specialized organelles," Wong explained, highlighting neural-like patterns in the specimens, "they're designed for consciousness absorption. These aren't invasion forces in the traditional sense." She manipulated the display, showing energy patterns that matched Federation neural signatures. They're not invading, she explained to the stunned audience. They're harvesting. Their primary targets are your most psychically advanced species because you're food to them. The Meridian scientist beside her swayed slightly. Our telepathic abilities make you perfect prey, Wong confirmed grimly. Your cultivated empathic and psychic abilities are the equivalent of a neon sign saying, all-you-can-eat buffet. Hayes studied the data, the tactical implications becoming clear. That's why they've prioritized Meridian and Solaran worlds. They're targeting your most evolved psychic populations first. Kalar's expression darkened. And why our weapons strengthen them. Energy weapons require psychic targeting components in Federation technology. Exactly, Wong nodded. Every time you fired at them, you were essentially serving up dessert. The azure ice fields of Tundra stretched to the horizon, punctuated by crystalline formations that caught the light of 3 distant suns. Commander Petrov's Russian Arctic Battalion moved silently across the terrain, their specialized thermal gear allowing them to endure temperatures that had already claimed the lives of 2 Federation reconnaissance teams. Movement detected, 2 kilometers southeast. Lieutenant Sokolov reported through the tactical network, her voice calm despite the readings on her scanner. Voidborn harvester, approximately 15 meters in height. Petrov signaled his squad to deploy. Unlike the Federation forces who had attempted to establish defensive positions with energy barriers, the Voidborn simply absorbed. His soldiers melted into the landscape, becoming virtually invisible against the ice. Hold positions, he ordered quietly. Wait for it to cross the ravine. Across 16 key worlds, Earth deployed its specialized environmental forces, each evolved through centuries of adaptation to Earth's varied and often hostile regions. On Verdia, Indonesian jungle fighters slipped like ghosts through sentient forests, teaching the telepathic plant life to distinguish friend from foe through vibrational patterns instead of psychic signatures the Voidborn could detect. The floating cities of Caraxes, once thought lost, received unexpected saviors in the Australian Outback Division. Generations of desert survival knowledge transformed the failing Caraxian defense into an effective resistance through water conservation techniques and heat adaptation strategies the water-dependent Voidborn couldn't counter. At Federation High Command, Admiral Chen and Captain Hayes reviewed holographic battle data with Kalar and the Solaran strategists. Notice this energy signature, Hayes indicated, highlighting patterns in Voidborn movements across multiple engagements. It appears consistently near their largest concentrations, always protected by multiple defensive rings. Admiral Chen nodded slowly. A command and control center. Classic military doctrine. Protect your leadership assets. The Voidborn have a centralized command structure. The Solaran tactician seemed skeptical. Our analysis suggested a hive mind with distributed intelligence. Kalar studied the pattern Hayes had identified. Not a hive mind, but a hierarchy. Like ancient Arcadian war hosts, multiple independent units answering to regional commanders, who answer to a central authority. Human military historians recognize the pattern from Earth's own wars, Hayes explained. If we can target this node, we might disrupt their entire operational capacity. Operation Spearhead launched 3 days later. Hayes and Kalar led a combined strike force. 3 human cruisers and 2 Arcadian frigates modified with kinetic weapons against the suspected Voidborn command node hidden in the debris field of what had once been the Quarian homeworld. Approaching target zone, Lieutenant Kamau reported from Tactical, detecting multiple Voidborn signatures forming a defensive screen. As expected, Hayes replied. Weapons status. Railguns charged and locked. Modified nuclear packages ready for deployment. The human vessels took heavy damage punching through the defensive screen. The Defiance lost its port engine array, while the Sovereign reported multiple hull breaches. Yet they pressed forward, their Federation allies providing covering fire with specially calibrated disruptor beams designed to distract rather than damage the energy-hungry Voidborn. Target acquired. Kamau announced as the indomitable sensors locked onto the massive structure at the center of the Voidborn fleet, launching nuclear package. The modified warheads, enhanced with Federation phase technology to bypass traditional defenses, achieved complete tactical surprise. The resulting explosion tore a hole in subspace itself, destroying what appeared to be a Voidborn coordination nexus in a blinding flash that briefly outshone the nearby sun. For precious moments, nothing happened. Then, across multiple tactical displays throughout Federation space, Voidborn forces fell into disarray. Attack patterns became erratic. Coordinated assaults dissolved into individual actions easily countered by combined human Federation tactics. It worked. Kilar breathed, watching the tactical data stream in. For the first time since this war began, we have them on the defensive. At an emergency session of the Federation Council, species who once looked down on humanity stood one by one to formally acknowledge Earth's contributions. The Meridian High Speaker, her voice resonating with the harmonics of her entire species, addressed the human representatives with newfound respect. "We engineered conflict out of our civilization millennia ago," she admitted, believing it made us more advanced. "Now we understand that, in doing so, we lost something essential, the very edge needed to defend life itself." The memorial hall aboard the Sovereign gleamed with thousands of holographic dog tags, each representing a life lost in the previous day's ambush. Earth's Pacific Fleet, 8 capital ships and their escorts, had been annihilated when a dimensional rift unexpectedly opened in the midst of their formation. Captain Hayes moved silently through the projection, occasionally touching a glowing name, her face set in grim determination. Commander Reyes, Lieutenant Chung, Chief Petty Officer Nkosi. Names she had known, faces she would never see again. 5,347, she whispered. The exact count of human lives lost in less than 15 minutes. The victory at the Voidborn command node had been significant but not decisive. The enemy had regrouped with unexpected speed, launching devastating counterattacks across 3 sectors simultaneously. The Pacific Fleet, defending the Arcadian colony of New Horizon, had borne the brunt of their vengeance. Hayes' communicator chimed softly. "Captain, your presence is requested at Federation Strategic Command." Lieutenant Kamau's voice reported. "Admiral Chen has already arrived." The Federation Strategic Command Center occupied the heart of Proxima Station, its vaulted ceiling designed to impress visiting dignitaries in peacetime. Now it served as the nerve center for a desperate multi-species war effort. As Hayes entered, she immediately sensed the tension in the room. "Your Pacific Fleet's sacrifice provided invaluable tactical data," Admiral Venthal was saying, his translator failing to soften the clinical tone. His crystalline features showed no emotion as he manipulated a holographic display of the ambush. "We can use this opportunity to position your remaining Earth vessels as bait for a larger trap at the Solaran boundary." Admiral Chen's face darkened with each word. When Venthal finished his proposal, Chen slammed his fist on the holographic table, disrupting the battle projections. "We are not cannon fodder for your experiments," he roared, as Federation commanders drew back in alarm. Several Meridian officers visibly recoiled from the emotional outburst. "Either humans receive equal voice in strategic planning, or we withdraw our forces entirely." The tense standoff that followed seemed likely to fracture the fragile alliance until Hayes' communicator vibrated with an urgent message from Kilar. "Captain, you need to see this immediately." The Arcadian's message read, "Reviewing recovered Voidborn communication fragments. Found something disturbing." Hayes slipped away from the escalating argument to find Kilar in a small analysis room adjacent to the command center. The Arcadian warrior's scaled face was illuminated by the glow of ancient symbols projected in the air between them. "These reference markers," Kilar said, highlighting symbols that appeared repeatedly in the alien code. "They're coordinates for Federation worlds, but from thousands of years ago, before the Great Rationalization." Hayes studied the symbols, recognition dawning. "They've been here before." Kilar nodded grimly. "The Voidborn didn't just randomly discover our dimension. They'd visited our civilizations millennia ago. When Hayes returned to the command center with Kilar and their findings, the confrontation had escalated to near diplomatic incident levels. Federation elders were threatening to revoke Earth's provisional membership, while Admiral Chen was preparing orders for human forces to withdraw to solar system defenses. "Everyone needs to see this," Hayes announced, transferring Kilar's data to the main tactical display. Hours of intense questioning followed. Certain Federation elders reluctantly confirmed what Hayes suspected. The Voidborn had visited their civilizations millennia ago, before the Federation existed. Worse, artifacts from that ancient contact had been preserved but hidden away, deemed too dangerous or too closely associated with the violent past the elder races preferred to forget. "You knew." Admiral Chen's voice was dangerously quiet. "You knew they might return, and you said nothing when we joined this fight." "We believed those events were isolated incidents," a Solaran elder insisted. "Ancient history, irrelevant to the current invasion." As human leaders demanded further explanations and Federation representatives offered increasingly defensive justifications, Lieutenant Kama stepped forward, her calm voice cutting through the growing chaos. "Recriminations solve nothing," she stated, activating a tactical projection of her own. "Those artifacts may contain the key to closing the dimensional rifts permanently. I propose a joint special operations team, human and Federation, to recover them while our main forces hold the defense line." Her gaze swept the room, settling finally on Kilar. "We've all lost too much to fail now because of ancient secrets or fresh distrust." The stealth vessel Horizon's Edge slipped through the debris field surrounding the Voidborn's primary dimensional rift, its advanced cloaking technology, a hybrid of human ingenuity and Federation science, concealing them from enemy sensors. Captain Hayes studied the swirling anomaly that dominated the view screen, its edges crackling with energies that hurt the human eye to observe. "Dimensional breach at 93% stability," Lieutenant Kamau reported from the tactical station. "Energy signatures consistent with heavy Voidborn presence on the perimeter." Hayes nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility press down on her shoulders. The special operations team she led represented the most diverse fighting unit in galactic history. Kilar, the Arcadians, Dr. Wong from Earth, and specialists from 7 Federation species, each chosen for unique abilities their races possessed. "How long can we maintain cloak this close to the rift?" she asked the Quarian engineer whose compound eyes never left his monitoring equipment. 37 minutes at current output," he replied. "The dimensional energies are creating interference patterns our systems weren't designed to handle." In the ship's laboratory section, Dr. Wong hunched over fragments of ancient artifacts recovered from sealed Federation vaults. The assembled collection represented a troubling history, relics from an era when the now peaceful races had fought against the first Voidborn incursion, a history deliberately buried as the Federation evolved beyond its violent past. "These glyphs," Wong muttered, connecting patterns between pieces that hadn't been together in millennia. "They're describing a resonance frequency that can destabilize the dimensional barriers the Voidborn use." A Quarian physicist completed her thought. "But generating such a frequency requires both technological precision and—" He hesitated, the specialized translation unit struggling to convey the alien concept. "Something our societies engineered out of ourselves generations ago." "Raw emotion," Kilar supplied, his scared face solemn. "Particularly the extreme states humans experience during crisis. Fear, rage, hope, determination." Dr. Wong looked up, understanding dawning in her eyes. The artifacts were designed to harness emotional energy into a weapon against the Voidborn. "A weapon our ancestors deemed too dangerous to preserve," added the Meridian specialist, her translucent features troubled. Emotional amplification technology violated every principle of psychic ethics. The ship suddenly lurched, alarms blaring across every deck. "Multiple Voidborn signatures converging on our position," Kama shouted over the noise. "They've detected us. Cloaking field failure in 3 minutes." Hayes met the eyes of each team member in turn. We knew this was likely a one-way mission, she reminded them. Let's make it count. The battle that followed tested the limits of both technology and flesh. Federation specialists attempted to calibrate the recovered artifacts into a functional resonance generator, while human Marines held defensive positions against waves of void-borne entities that materialized throughout the ship. Hayes fired her kinetic rifle at a shifting mass of darkness that had once been a Meridian scientist, the creature having consumed his consciousness entirely. Beside her, Kalar fought with the feral grace of ancient Arcadian warriors, his ceremonial blade slicing through dimensional matter that energy weapons couldn't touch. "The generator is ready," Dr. Wong's voice crackled through the communication system. "But the power source isn't sufficient to create a cascade effect across the entire rift." Hayes and Kalar fought their way toward the laboratory, pulling injured team members to safety as they retreated. A disintegration beam cut through the corridor ahead, forcing them to dive for cover. Kalar pushed Hayes clear as the energy wave swept past, taking the full force of the blast across his torso. "Kalar." Hayes dragged her friend to shelter as Federation medics rushed forward. The Arcadian scales had turned ashen gray, green blood seeping between them despite emergency treatment. "I advocated for Earth's membership years ago," Kalar revealed, his breathing labored. "My people couldn't understand, but I saw it clearly during my diplomatic mission to your world." "Save your strength," Hayes urged, applying pressure to his wounds. "We're going to get you out of here." His three-fingered hand gripped Hayes' arm with surprising strength. "Listen to me, Miranda. Humanity's greatest gift isn't your technology or even your weapons. It's your unbreakable will to survive against all odds. That fire inside you that even the most advanced genetic engineering cannot replicate." Around them, the battle intensified as more void-borne entities breached the ship's defenses. Kalar's eyes dimmed as he struggled to form final words. "Promise me, Miranda, when this is over, tell my people, tell them to remember how to feel again." The dimensional rift pulsed with malevolent energy as void-borne reinforcements poured through in endless waves. Captain Hayes knelt beside Kalar's body for just a moment, closing his eyes with gentle fingers before rising with newfound resolve. "Dr. Wong, status on the resonance device," she demanded, her voice steady despite the chaos surrounding them. The xenobiologist's hands blurred across the alien technology, integrating the ancient artifacts with modern Federation components. Federation specialists worked alongside her, their centuries of technical knowledge complementing Wong's innovative approach. "The frequency is calibrated," Wong shouted over the din of battle, "but the power source isn't strong enough to initiate a cascade collapse of the rift." The Meridian specialist nearby exchanged a significant look with her. "We need an emotional catalyst," she explained to Hayes. The artifacts were designed to harness strong emotional states into usable energy, something my people can no longer generate naturally. Hayes surveyed the battlefield that had once been the Horizon's Edge's main laboratory. Half her team was dead or wounded. Through the viewport, she could see void-borne harvesters approaching in formation, drawn by the resonance device's activation. "Connect me to the device," she ordered. "Use my neural patterns as the catalyst." "Captain, the emotional transfer could kill you," Wong protested. "The human nervous system wasn't designed to." "That's an order, Doctor," Hayes cut her off. "Kalar didn't die so we could debate the risks." Despite protests, the Federation technicians complied, attaching sensor nodes to Hayes' temples. Dr. Wong activated the system, her eyes widening as readings spiked dramatically. "It's working," she exclaimed. "The human emotional response is far more intense than we calculated possible." The resonance field began to expand around the ship, its frequencies disrupting the dimensional tear. Void-borne entities near the perimeter shrieked in frequencies that damaged the hearing of several team members. "Everyone back to the escape pods," Hayes commanded, her body trembling with the strain of maintaining the connection. "I'll hold the field until the collapse is complete." Lieutenant Kamau refused the order. "With respect, Captain, that's suicide. The resonance field has to be maintained from this exact position until full collapse." "That's why I'm staying," Hayes replied through gritted teeth. "That's an order, Lieutenant." Hope seemed lost until Federation sensors detected an impossible energy signature. Thousands of human warships emerged from slip space in perfect formation. Earth had committed its entire remaining fleet to this final gambit. Admiral Chen's voice crackled through the communication system. "Did you think we'd let you have all the glory, Captain?" A desperate rescue operation commenced as the dimensional rift began to implode. Special Forces teams cut through voidborne defenses, creating a corridor to the horizon's edge. The extraction team reached Hayes seconds before the resonance field would have consumed her, pulling her free as the rift collapsed completely, taking with it the primary voidborne invasion force. 3 months later, on the rebuilt Federation capital, humanity was unanimously invited to join the Council as full members. The massive chamber, once destroyed by voidborne forces, had been reconstructed with elements of Earth architecture integrated alongside alien designs, a visible symbol of the new unity. The elder races, humbled by their near extinction, established the Hayes Protocol, a directive ensuring all member species maintain defensive capabilities alongside their peaceful pursuits. For millennia, we believed true civilization meant evolving beyond conflict. The Meridian High Speaker addressed the first joint session, speaking with uncharacteristic emotion. Humanity taught us that wisdom lies not in the absence of struggle, but in choosing how to face it. Hayes, now Admiral Hayes of the Combined Fleet, stood with Admiral Chen as Federation scientists demonstrated the first results of the Emotional Reclamation Project, an initiative to help Federation species rediscover the emotional depth they had engineered away. "Kalar would be pleased," Chen remarked quietly. Hayes nodded, touching the Arcadian ceremonial blade she now wore at her hip. He saw what was coming before any of us: the connection between emotion and survival. Throughout the galaxy, memorial monuments rose on worlds saved from destruction, depicting human soldiers standing shoulder to shoulder with Federation allies. Visitors from thousands of species placed offerings before the simple inscription carved in hundreds of languages. When doom was near, the unbreakable spirit of humanity showed us the way forward. On Earth, the Federation cultural exchange centers became the most visited locations on the planet. Humans lined up to learn about the stars they had helped save, while Federation citizens came to study the species that had preserved what their own ancestors had discarded: the passionate, unpredictable, gloriously chaotic spark that made survival possible. In the Arcadian Temple of Warriors, a special shrine held pride of place. There, a simple Earth military dog tag rested beside Kalar's ceremonial blade, beneath an inscription in both human and Arcadian script: "To remember how to feel again."